Getting an 800 credit score can help you out in a myriad of different ways. It's something that's a very coveted position for many individuals. And in this video, I'm going to talk about exactly how I was able to get my credit score over 800. Before I start this video off, I just want to let you guys know and give you a disclaimer that this video is intended for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a licensed professional, nor am I expert. I'm just sharing with you my own experiences that I believe helped me increase my credit score. But as I mentioned, entertainment purposes only. And before we jump into the video, guys, I do want to talk about this video's sponsor, and that's, of course, Lead Heroes, you guys. If you are an insurance agent, then you're watching this video, which that's a myriad of our audience. Lead Heroes has got you covered when it comes to telemarketing leads, whether it be Medicare supplement leads, final expense leads, turning 65 leads. They just got something for everybody. They also really do a great job with virtual staffing, you guys. If you're having trouble finding the budget to hire an employee to help you out with little tiny things in your business, having Lead Heroes help you out by hiring a virtual assistant can be a really simple and cheaper solution to solving that problem for you. Just because you checked out this video and saw this ad, they're going to give you 10% off any order you make on their website. The link can be found down in the description, so go ahead and check them out. All right, guys, so let's talk about credit scores. Okay, so rewind 2017. I had a credit score of about 640 to 650, which is average, right? It's not a fantastic score, but it's not the worst score either. That is the lowest I believe I can recall my score being. So I'm not on here to tell you guys that I had some, in the dumps credit score, but I didn't have a great credit score, and I was able to turn it into a great credit score. Back in that time period, back in 2017, I had about 3 or 4 credit cards that were open that carried monthly debt on them, right? And they probably added up to about 10, 15 grand, nothing crazy, but I had a little bit of credit card debt. At the beginning of my financial and adult life, did not understand everything I needed to understand to own a credit card. I wasn't as responsible as I needed to be, and I racked up the debt a little bit. I even opened up a credit card in my wife's name to help out with some leads and marketing in my business at that time, and I racked up debt on that as well. So we had some debt that was really my doing, and that was mainly through credit cards. Now, my wife had student loan debt at the time. For those of you who don't know, my wife went to school for massage therapy to be a massage therapist. So she had a little bit of student loan debt. Let's just call that about an even 10 grand. Now, anytime you're married to somebody, their credit score is going to have an impact on yours as well, for better or for worse. So that's why this is relevant. If my wife had a bad credit score, which when I did first meet her, she had a situation where her mother opened up a Comcast bill for TV and internet in her name, and she racked up the charges, didn't pay the bills. It got to be about $1,000 of overdue charges, and my wife didn't even know about it because this was all something that her mother was doing in her name, and that affected her credit score poorly, probably shortly before I met her and we started going out. And when we did get married, these things kind of followed over. I didn't just marry my wife, I also married her credit score and her debt. So that impacted my score as well, which we did get married in 2016, a year before. So all of these factors kind of had to deal with, at the time, what we had with our credit score and what my credit score looked like at the time. Now, I also had 2 car loans. At the time, I did not have a mortgage. So that's kind of what my debt looked like, right? I had credit card debt, we had student loan debt, and we had card loans. So, and at the time, what was keeping my credit score from kind of going into the toilet was I never had made a late payment in my entire life for anything. I always made the minimum payments that were due on my credit card. Although I'd carried a balance, I made the minimum due payments month after month, and I never actually was late on a payment. I never was late on a utility bill payment in my life. I've never been late on a rent payment in my life. I've never been late on anything in terms of payments. So my payment history is fantastic and it's phenomenal. That had something to do with helping with my credit score. So one thing you guys got to understand is with credit scores, one thing that the bureaus are going to be looking for is they want to see a couple of different things. Number one, they want to see consistency in terms of your payments, right? So having a good credit score is made up of a couple of different factors, but having a consistent payment history is going to be really, really valid. Anytime you have a history in there where you have, bits and pieces where you're late on your payments, that's not going to help you in any form or fashion. Now, what makes up actually your FICO credit score is going to be 35% your payment history. So that is the biggest part of it. Making your payments on time is going to be vital and key. The amounts you actually owe makes up about 30% of it. So how much your debt ratio actually is. Length of your credit history is about another 15%. So what this essentially means is how long you're able to kind of keep an account open and in good standing is going to help your credit score in the end of the day. Now, one thing you'll see with a lot of younger people, in their early 20s, is that actually ends up hurting them because they just don't have lines of credit or accounts that would affect their credit score that are open that long because they just don't have all that much life experience. Now, me, I'm 29 now. I'm starting to get up there with my life experience. So, I've had certain bank accounts now that have been open since I was 16. I have credit cards now that have been open since I was 22, 23, 24. And so that length of history is starting to get up there, and that's now becoming an ally of mine instead of a hindrance for me. New credit open makes up about 10%, and types of credit you have makes up another 10%. So what did I do to actually get my credit score from 650 to 800? Well, I'll share that with you guys. In the short term, paying off large amounts of debt actually hurts your credit score, right? As crazy as that sounds, it makes absolutely no sense. But what I did was in January of that following year in 2018, I mentioned I had about $10,000 to $15,000 of credit card debt. Well, I wiped that all away because credit card debt charges you 15 to 20 to maybe even 25% interest, and it's one of the most harmful debts that you can actually carry because the interest just ends up eating you alive. You'll never actually beat it off with just the minimum payments. So I just paid all of that credit card debt, including the credit card I opened up in my wife's name. And at that time, just for lack of knowing better, I closed all the credit cards I had. At that time, I had a Chase card, I had a Discover card. I closed every single credit card account that I had. Now, this was a mistake, and I'll tell you why. What did that do for me? It hindered my percentage of how long I had certain accounts open. It decreased, my history and my length of credit history, if you will, in those accounts. What I should have done was I should have just kept them open and not used them. That would have helped me out more in my credit history. Now, a year or two down the road, I opened up new credit cards, and I've had all of those open ever since once I've learned this trick. So the worst thing you want to do if you pay off a credit card is close it out. You definitely don't want to do that if you're trying to increase your credit score. That is going to be incredibly vital, and that's a mistake that I made. But over a long period of time, right, it took about maybe 12 months or so, I saw my credit score start to bump up because that credit card debt was no longer on my score. It was no longer on my history, so it was gone. Fast forward to January 2019, I paid off both of my card debts. Now, in the short term, this caused my credit score to go down for about 3 to 4 months, maybe the first quarter of the year. But after that, my credit score saw a significant bump up because there was debt that was being removed from my credit score. Now, people always focus on the short term and they don't focus on the long term. Paying off this debt was good for my credit score in the long term, but right off the bat it goes down. And the reason why it goes down right off the bat is because it's not showing a consistent, monthly payment on these loans, right? It's essentially a little bit sporadic. And what I mean by that is you're paying the entire debt off all up front, and that essentially spooks some of the credit bureaus with your credit score. But essentially what I did, guys, and I didn't hire any professionals. I didn't hire any credit repair specialists. All I did was I paid off debt. I opened up multiple lines of credit. I have about 7 or 8 credit cards now. I made sure they were always paid off every single month in good standing, never carried a balance. Having these multiple lines of credit open helped my credit score out tremendously. And that helped out with the length of credit history there. Now, my payment history, which makes up 35% of my score, at least on the FICO credit score, I continued to make my payments every month, no matter what was going on. I made sure that we never missed a payment in any bill that we had. I continued to do that. That helped my score continue to trickle up. The types of credit you have means that they want to see a diversity of different lines of credit that are going to be open for you, or different accounts on your credit score. I now have a mortgage, right? I sold my first house. I bought the second house. So there's a lot of history now that exists on my credit score, and it's all good history. There's no bad history whatsoever. This video is not about how to teach you how to go from a 600 credit score to an 800 credit score in 30, 60 days. I don't even think that's necessarily possible. But what you can do is, if you focus on paying off debt, making all your payments on time, not carrying any debt or as little debt as possible. We still carry our mortgage debt, but that's the only debt we pay. I also paid off my wife's student loan, which actually helped her credit score, which in turn helped my credit score. And having a lot of different lines of credit open, as long as you can handle it, and as long as you can handle the responsibility of it. Having a credit card means you have to have some freaking self-control, people. So if you have some self-control, it's going to essentially help your credit score in the long run if you're trying to do that. Now, if you're a Dave Ramsey believer, you're a Dave Ramsey, believer in the Dave Ramsey philosophy, then you probably don't even want a credit card, and the credit score doesn't even matter to you, which in turn, you shouldn't have even clicked on this video. But anyway, guys, that's all I did. It was very simple, and over time, from 2017 to 2022, a 5-year period, I went from a 650 credit score to an 800 plus credit score. You can do this too. I didn't do anything special. I paid off debt. I made sure I had multiple lines of credit and multiple different finances going on in terms of credit cards, mortgages. I paid off my car debts, paid off my wife's student loan, and paid off my credit card debt. And I made sure I made all my payments on time. And over time, my credit score just kept trickling up and up and up and up and up and up. And before you know it, we were at 800. I believe in the next couple of years, we'll be at 850 and have a perfect credit score. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed this kind of content, do me a favor, drop a like in this video so that way I know you liked it. It also helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm and helps more people just like you find the video that might need help and with their credit score and might need to hear this information. Drop a comment down below. Do you like this kind of content? Do you want to see more of it? I'd love to hear your feedback. Do you agree with me, by the way? Have any of these tactics worked for you, or do you have a super secret tactic that I didn't mention that might be able to help with your credit score? Drop all that down in the comment section. I'd love to talk about this with you guys. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're notified when we upload. And until next time, I'm Christian Brindle. Here's to your success and your abundance. Thanks, guys.